Hello, everyone. We're going to start streaming the updates, the Hearts of Iron 4 updates, and we got a new update just a few hours ago from the Paradox developers. And this is the Avalanche 1.12.5 by Blood Alone, Checksum 18AA. And it says here, hello there, generals. Another update has arrived, and this is a big one. Today, we release 1.12.5 that targets some of your most pressing concerns, but there is more, as we have a plan in the works to release monthly updates for By Blood Alone, so keep your eyes peeled for more information related to that. So we're going to follow this reading of the update with a test to see if they fixed the error, and I'm not going to go through the whole update. I took out the parts that I really didn't know about or wasn't aware of, and I'm going to post like the most pressing things down below. So if there's something that I really like, it was some niche thing that happens in the Switzerland focus tree that I have no idea about, I don't have it in here. I'm sorry, but I can't really comment on it anyways. But all the core changes, bug fixes, and everything that is important to the game, I have right here. So let's go through it. We have, first off, we have balance updates. Minor tweak made to further railway infrastructure focuses that were a bit weak or unchanged in the last iteration. A lot of the focuses that I noticed with rail were kind of weak. So apparently they made those focuses more potent. I don't know if that just was raw increases to infrastructure or building of infrastructure, but it looks like railway is going to be easier to basically build. Hey, Gonzalo, we'll see if the subs work or not. Change certain Italian balance of power decisions from being available only one time to once a year. This should give players more leeway with the whole balancing act. So the Italian balance of power is part of the By Blood Alone DLC. And it looks like you're able to change the balance of power more than once a year. Oh, only one time to once a year. Okay. So actually, you're able to change the balance of power once a year instead of only one time. Okay, so that should give a little bit more leeway. I remember just clicking on it kind of as much as possible. But I know that there's going to be a lot of things in here for the Italian focus tree because it was quite the quagmire when it dropped. Okay, stop medium and heavy flame tanks from being able to be paradropped. I didn't know that this was a thing, but that's pretty OP. That's pretty crazy. Because you can just paradrop them and then literally just not move them if they're in the city, and it would be pretty hard to get them out of that city. Cohesion settings should no longer result in unit clumping for the AI and provide much more stable frontline situations for all orders with less relocation, but may have slightly more overall movement than before. Game developer note, from a design perspective, Cohesion now works significantly better than previously. Feedback particularly appreciated here. The different Cohesion strategies did not work at all, in my opinion. That's because if you went anything but like the regular Cohesion setting, so the more like stiff Cohesion, so where they wouldn't shuffle around as much, there would be huge gaps in your line. So I'm assuming that they just toned down that feature. There was 3 settings in terms of how the unit shuffled along the line, and perhaps that works better, but the rigid Cohesion was not good at all. Like, I wouldn't have ever used it or thought of using it. The main thing that I worry about with Cohesion is like barb front, because it's so large, and just the way the AI shuffles from right to left, like it shuffles the whole front, if you know what I'm talking about. Not just like, let's say units in the northern front or the southern front. it shuffles from top to bottom and vice versa. So let's hope that they fix that. That's going to be something to keep an eye on. AI peace conference behavior changed significantly when taking land for themselves. This is now much more distance-based and should result in more cohesive borders. Iterative change 1. Okay, much needed. Peace Conference AI is now slightly more self-aware about contest bids. It will early out of contests in some cases in an effort to reduce point wastage and to create more cohesive borders. Several defines added to control this behavior. Iterative change 2. Okay, so the main thing with the Peace Conference, the first one was that the thing that comes to my mind is IC Lion UK, turn 2, Italy takes like a part of the UK, which makes like very little sense. Like, why wouldn't they take like Egypt or something like that? Like something closer to mainland Italy. So we'll see how that balances out. Hopefully Italy doesn't like take out Scotland, like an island that they didn't even invade, that's like way far north from them. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how that balances out. That sounds like a much needed change. Medium and heavy batteries attack and piercing adjusted. Okay, we got to pay attention here. Medium and heavy batteries attack. I don't know what they mean by medium. Do they mean light batteries? This must be the light attack, a bigger light attack gun. Attack and piercing adjusted. BB and BC armor. So that's battleship and battle cruiser armor no longer increases visibility and have higher armor values. So they buffed the battleships. So that's going to be interesting to note. Early game, you don't need battleships at all previous to today's patch. So this probably takes out the glass cannon meta that you've seen in many of my videos where I just take CLs and stack light attack on them, or very small guns, and you can shred, like you could shred through anything really. If you add in full doctrine though, it doesn't work anymore against carrier fleets, but they're trying to take out the light attack meta, which makes sense. So the light attack should not pierce the BBs and the BC armor. It should just not pierce it. You shouldn't be able to take a light cruiser and be able to pierce the armor. However, you should be able to take a torpedo and somewhat damage the battleship. And the light attack was better than torpedoes because it's so consistent. It just, you can hammer away with the light attack, whereas the torpedoes are hit or miss. So we'll see how that balances. That looks like a good one. Increased XP spend cutoff for legacy land equipment upgrade. XP spend cutoff for legacy land equipment upgrade. XP spend. I don't know. Maybe you can help me out with that, chat. Combat damage scale carrier return to 5 was 1. So this is to nerf the carriers. So they might, that seems like a big number. So they might have nerfed carriers a little too much. I actually didn't mind the carriers being too OP because they're carriers. They are OP. It's a freaking carrier, for God's sakes. It's 2022. We're still, the carriers are the best thing in the Navy by far. Naval strike damage to STR decreased to 1 from 2. So again, a huge nerf. They might have overcorrected here. Naval strike damage to org. Okay, so the naval strike damage to strength. Okay, naval strike damage to org. So what I saw this most was basically the carriers would be targeted first and their org would go down first in all the naval battles. So the carriers basically, the navs would go straight to the carriers, and then the battle is decided in the first like few turns basically, and the carriers would deorg super quickly and then be taken out of the battle. So I think that that's what they're rebalancing. The naval strike damage to org decreased from 1.5 to 2. That actually doesn't seem like that high of a value, so that'll keep the carriers in the fight longer, so maybe it won't nerf the carriers as much as I think, because combat damage scale carrier, I'm not quite sure what this value means, but I'm assuming maybe you can't damage the carriers as much. I'm not sure. Maybe that's what that means. That'll be interesting to test out. Air combat damage scale increased from 0.25 to 1. Okay, so this is what we're going to test out. This is a big boy right here. So, as I said, all the values for air attack were decreased. I said that right off the bat with the by blood alone, because everyone was showing off all these awesome planes, but what does it matter? The planes were not trading, particularly in combat areas with a lot of planes. Like, I had my Discord tell me like over 5,000. I had a video that had over 20K. Did not trade, and you saw that. It looked like there was just air accidents happening. So we'll test this at the end of the stream, but that is 4x combat damage for air combat. So I think they should trade now. We'll see how it scales. I have an air zone prepared that will have 16,000 planes in it, 8,000 on both sides. Okay, ship to fleet anti-air ratio increased from 0.2 to 0.25. So this increases AA. What I found was in my Navy testing, you could take the AA off of the destroyers and the CLs. So basically the screens, because the screens aren't targeted if you have a full carrier and battleship Navy. So this is to make the AA more potent. I think that this is much needed because the nav was way superior and could shred anything. Anti-air PO POW on incoming air damage increased from 0.2 to 0.25. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Maybe targeting. Anti-air multiple on incoming air damage increased from 0.15 to 0.2. Okay, so naval AA is going to be a thing. It was always a thing on the battleships. It worked pretty well. And on the carriers, but maybe now it has a use on the screens. And I didn't see a reason to not use the multi-purpose gun. So those are the guns that are able to do AA and direct fire attacks. Well, ASG, thanks for coming to the stream. It should be fixed. So we'll see. With these last few updates that I just read off, I think it probably balances out the Navy a bit more. So we'll see. The thing is, the early game, the problem that I have with all the testing with full doctrine is, like, when are you going to have full doctrine in a AI game? I don't know. You could get like maybe 20% of the doctrine by war, but it mostly would act like there was no doctrine. And then once you have full doctrine, you have to have carrier on carrier Navy because, yeah, basically the navs were so overpowered. But it looks like they nerfed the navs, upgraded the AA on the ships. So you should be able to have a non-carrier Navy hang in there a bit better. So we'll see how that works out. Remove multiply stats, IC cost AA from ship AA modules, increase base AA attack to replace them. Multiply stats IC cost, not sure what that means. Reduced base heavy hull cost slightly. All treaty battleships should now fit within treaty limits. Okay, so that's the naval treaty at the beginning of the game. So basically the battleships will now be in line with the treaty limits, the naval treaty in the beginning of the game. And maybe it'll bring super heavies back. Super heavies were way too IC intensive to be worth it. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, the CAs, it doesn't make sense. So I didn't see, I'll give you a little spoiler. I didn't see that they changed the CA balance. So what chat is alluding to is the fact that you used to be able to convert your light cruisers into heavy cruisers, and now it's better to convert heavy cruisers to light cruisers. And you actually don't lose a slot. So if you have if you convert CA to CL2, you still have the same amount of slots. There's like, it seems like there's no benefit, and you get an IC reduction for that. And you're still able to stack the light attack. But maybe light attack is no longer a thing now. I mean, the armor values seem to be the same if I remember correctly. But we'll see. I didn't see anything. Maybe there's something buried in this dev diary. But we'll see. England now starts with 36 battleship hull researched. Nelson class now obsolete at start. Okay, that's weird that they didn't have that. Slightly improved fascist neutral approach to beating overseas countries. Not sure what that one is. Stability and performance. Fixed a crash during hot join on Mac. Okay. It surprises me that people play this on Mac, but that's cool. Reduce the size of the flag's texture to the game works on GPUs with 8K texture limit. Fixed rare CTD during GUI initialization in DX11. I'm assuming CTD is a crash. Fixed CTD caused by incorrect parsing a persistent AI strategy. CTD. Not sure. I think that this balances the game, but they might have overbalanced carriers is what I'm going to guess right now. And for them to fix the game more, we'll see if they fixed air and how it trades. But there's going to be rebalances that are going to be needed because now that air trades, you could probably go with heavy fighters, and heavy fighters might be OP if you can't kill the heavy fighter with a small airframe. So they're just going to have to keep on making iterative changes. I know a lot of you guys don't like this, the fact that they dropped the DLC and there's all these fixes, but would you rather have a richer game with a ton of like new features, or would we rather tiptoe around the tulips like Overwatch and basically just come out with a new season after 3 years? I mean, I'd rather just hammer away, get the content, and then suffer the consequences of that and have all the game features and then work them out later. But I know a lot of you guys don't like that. To each his own. It's fine. Okay, bug fixes. General Cedillo is now, that's the Mexican general, is now again a leader of the Mexican revolt. I wasn't aware that that was a thing, but yeah, you get Cedillo with the Mexican revolt. The Ground Council of Fascism will now actually oust kings of Christian Democrats in the form of the National Military Junta if the balance of power is low enough. So I think that alludes to Italy. UK shouldn't be able to give Turkey Levant states that they no longer own. So there's a lot of Turkey balances. I wasn't aware of anything with Turkey. The only thing that I saw was the fact that like Turkey joined Barb on the Allies side in like 43 or 44 when I played. And I thought that that was fairly unfair. And then some people were like, oh, Turkey came in at the end of the war. Yeah, but that was like 45 or something. It wasn't like 43. So I thought that that was just not fair as Germany. Let's continue on here. UK shouldn't be able to give Turkey Levant states they no longer own. Okay, we saw that. Germany no longer ignores Switzerland after they stop being neutral. Okay, that's a huge one. So if Switzerland comes into the war, Germany will set up a front over there. AI balance. If France is faction leader, all its allies will join them in the Stresa front with Italy. Okay, so AIs will go down. I think the Stresa front is in southern Alps there, bordering with Italy. So usually it's just France down there, but now the rest of the allies will come down there too. Okay. That'll make it harder. Probably not harder for speed runs because the speed run, the allies aren't formed but it will be harder to push with just Italy. Actually, that might unbalance a little bit, because if you play historical Germany and you bring Italy in, that means that UK troops could go to the southern front, which really is not that good because Italy doesn't have a lot to push. I mean, it was harder to go around Maginot with the By Blood Alone DLC. So we'll see how that works. I would assume it'd be easier to go around Maginot now because you could pull in Italy and the Allied forces would go south. If Italy declines Germany's offer to assassinate Mussolini, Germany won't be able to ignore that rejection and go ahead with the assassination anyways. Also, if the balance of power is active for Italy, Mussolini's side will be switched out to the king's. Okay, so some RP balance there. That's pretty cool. You can no longer use the no garrison Kurdish uprising annex exploit to fast remove Kurdish separatism faster than normal. Okay. Seems like that's like a Turkey thing. AI should now respect the equipment production min factory's AI strategy even when there is no need for the equipment type. AI should now respect the equipment production min. So it'll stop using equipment. It will stop producing equipment that it doesn't need. That's what I'm getting out of that one. So a buff to the AI, perhaps. It's no longer possible to see certain balance of power decisions before finishing the required national focus for Italy. Okay, so fixing Italy again. Paradrop orders without enough assigned transport wings now display how many wings are missing on the order instance map arrow tooltip. Okay, that'll be good for you paradrop fans. Scrambled carrier air wings that can perform naval strike or kamikaze missions will prioritize them over air superiority and interception unless they are fighter or interceptor air wings. So it looks like they're buffing kamikaze, chat. So for you Japan players. Fixed missing localization of equipment categories, fighter and cast displayed in a naval combat tooltip and probably in a few other places too. I've thought about this one a couple times. I still can't figure out what that means. Missing localization of equipment. Hey, Nicholas. Fixed issue where Vorarlberg wouldn't be a core of the Holy Roman Empire when formed by Germany. So you Holy Roman Empire fans, you got Vorarlberg back. I actually want to do a Holy Roman Empire playthrough. That would be fun. Hey, FF. Fixed an instant where the Italian AI would always decline Ethiopian territorial expansion if Ethiopia went up to a satellite via the focus tree. At the end of the peace conference for new puppets, calculate the right type of puppet. So there's different types of puppets. So I kind of noticed this, that you'd get, there's satellite and then just like a straight up puppet. I kind of noticed there was something weird about this, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it. But I noticed that you couldn't choose the type of puppet. I don't know. We'll see how that balances out. Tooltips in northern and southern Italian designers now specify the need to complete the focus, new industrialization program to improve them. Fixed issue with Italy completing two mutually exclusive focuses when failing on Mussolini's mission to conquer north-south Ethiopia and withdrawing from Ethiopia at the same time. Losing non-cores as Italy will now only reduce balance of power if the value is below 30% towards the Grand Council. Okay, so that was super annoying because what would happen here? What's up, Cred? If you lost a piece of territory, the balance of power go towards away from Mussolini towards the Grand Council. So that was super annoying. I'm glad they fixed this. Losing a core will now reduce balance of power 15% instead of 20. Okay. It's easy to not lose cores though, but just the non-core was super, didn't make any sense. King Vittorio Emmanuel III will no longer get the crown of Albania if he abdicated or died. Makes sense. Pressure government decisions will no longer show up if the target country already has the same ideology and is in faction with sender. You can no longer hire several advisors of the same type. Fix potential OOS on hot join caused by data on executing air missions never being written to the save game. Okay, so maybe if you hot joined in multiplayer, it would screw up the air missions. I'm not sure. Fix CTD when leaving a game where an air group, for whatever reason, contains a faulty air wing reference. I think that's crashing. Fix potential OOS on hot join a second time without restarting the game, caused by erroneous reading of daily port strike limits from the save game. So these are like multiplayer bugs. Switzerland will now seize the gold reserves of countries it enters war against. That's pretty cool. The gold is in Switzerland. Now it's like, don't piss us off because we're keeping your gold, brother. Fixed first loading screen background flipping immediately as GUI is being loaded. Increased AI wait for Japan to abandon the naval treaty in early 37. That makes sense because they had a lot of huge battleships. Okay, so I'll post a lot of the major changes down below in the description box. Let's go ahead and see if the air trades. AI is off. Germany and France are at war with each other. Okay, 8K on each side. So do the fighters trade? Let's get the details out here. I wish I could zoom this up for you guys. They do indeed trade. And so Germany, we're fighting in Western Germany. Germany should have a distinct advantage, so they should trade better. They're both like interwar fighters. Oh, no, they also have BF-109s. So, yeah, it looks like the BF-109s are trading better. But this is indeed significant. So not only is the air mission efficiency for Germany better, but they have a better fighter in the air. There's still quite a bit of trading going on. They might have overbalanced this, I feel like. Because I feel like the BF-109 should be vastly superior, yet they're still trading almost even. That's pretty crazy. Okay, so this is something to look out for, guys. So what I see on the screen, now they're trading even. Oh, Germany ran out of fuel. Data under months is 1,130 fighters lost compared to 1,300 on the French side. So there was only a difference of 200. And this is biplane or almost biplane with BF-109. Okay, now it's starting to stretch out a bit more. Germany ran out of fuel again. So let's take a look at the fighter designs real quick and see if we can glean any information. So they would have traded a bit better if I had looked at the fuel better. So air defense of 9. Air attack of 8. Let's go to France. Oh, they got a cannon on this bad boy. That's why. Okay. Don't sleep on France, guys. Air defense of 7, air attack of 14. What I'm going to say here is air attack is still king. Because you saw this inferior fighter hang in there with the better airframe, the better air defense airframe, solely based on air attack. So even though the air defense is 2 less, it's still traded worse. But say they had equal mission efficiency, they might trade even. So that's something to think about. Air attack is still king, it looks like, and the fighters do trade in these massive situations. Okay, let's load up a Navy game and let's see how that balanced out. So this is Cloak's save with a carrier fleet that can beat the English Navy. Oh man, it's like 6 a.m. here, guys. Sorry, I'm a little rusty. Okay, so let's take a look at this Navy real quick. So what we got here is Nav 2 on the carriers. We got 4 carriers. The battleship has been buffed and AI has been buffed. I feel like this fleet is going to shred easy. We'll see. You got the CL3. max light attack, and you've got the destroyer. I forget. Okay, I don't have the AA on this bad boy. Let's be sure to put the AA. And you see that we're trying to go for the most efficient IC. I have a 1 engine and a 3 armor. Let's put this AA on here. And then it should be right there. Boom. So those will refit real quick. And then I think I took the AA off of these guys as well. But they do have the multi-purpose guns, and I think I took the torpedoes off. Let's throw a torpedo launcher on there. That, in fact, is the design. They have the multi-purpose guns, and let me show you what we're working with in terms of our battleship. So you got 3 heavy guns. You got a 2 engine in my testing. If you put the engine to 1, they just get shredded. So engine 2, armor 3 with the dual purpose guns for some AA in there. Carrier has got the AA maxed out. The AA value is only 7.5, but you figure carriers can have fighters, and there's all navs on those carriers. Okay, so we got those in there. Upgraded the screens with AA. Go to war with England. Let's get our battle bub up. Okay, so opening engagements here. So it looks like they nerfed the amount of damage that a carrier could take. They nerfed navs, and they've increased air combat damage. So that means we might actually, the fighters in a carrier battle might actually matter now. So we'll see. And this battle I would expect to last a lot longer. So already opening moves, the navs are targeting the battleship. So it was before that the carriers would get taken out right away and the org would go to 0 right away. Okay, the org is reduced, but I typically see that org go to 0. It's getting hit by all naval bombers. No surprise there. The battleships are getting hit by a bit of heavy attack, but mainly naval bombers and light attack on the screens. Okay, so no surprises there. If our carriers can hang in there, we win. Okay, it does not look like the carriers can hang in there. Also note that the UK side has 6 carriers. The air traffic is limited to 60% of the air wings. Looks like we have 20 navs out of 320 shot down. This battle's going to be over as soon as our carriers are out of here. I hope we can hit their carriers. I think that the navs are selectively targeting the battle cruisers and the battleships, which is going to hurt us. And putting the AA on the screens, it doesn't look like it mattered. So whereas this Navy would win before, it's not IC efficient enough to win now. So that's quite interesting. Buff to Doctrine, buff to UK Navy. Perhaps because of the carriers, perhaps because of the sheer volume of craft that is fielded. So glass cannons probably no longer a thing. They also rebalanced the heavy attack values. Okay, so the heavies are dealing a lot of the damage right now. Battleships are back in the meta, boys. Super heavies might be a thing now. That's what I'm going to call it right now. And there's a point to putting battleships in your testing. Go the dual purpose, radar's essential, fire control essential. We'll get the AA on that bad boy. And you have no choice but to go with the super heavy gun. Heavy attack 72. So this value before was in the 50s maybe. So this is greatly increased. They might have gone overboard with this number here, but that's pretty crazy. I feel like we don't need any other super heavy slot. We'll go with the secondary batteries to buff light attack a bit. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Dude, you just stack these up. This is a straight up gunship. Wow. IC costs 16K. 16,000, not 1,600. Boom. This is going to be very expensive. Opening moves. Okay, they're damaging the carriers, my precious carriers. And I tried putting 5 in. It didn't seem to matter at all. Stacking carriers, because of the fact that you lose your aircraft is limited, is like, you're kind of capped at 4. And using fleet and being is better. Whereas if you're going to go trade interdiction, you like, it's pointless to use carriers. They just deorg right away. If you're full doctrine, that is. Now, what are these guys getting killed by? Wow. Okay, so there is RNG here. So basically there's a luck roll. So sometimes if you can get a carrier real quick, you win out easily. Other times, if you lose your carrier first, then it doesn't work. Let's continue the naval battle. Absolutely shredding. So the heavy guns are doing the mainstay of the damage here. I don't know if you could see this, but in every category, 80 to 90% of the damage on these battleships is heavy. So I think they did, like, how is the English Navy damaging super heavy with super heavy 3 armor? They might have overbalanced the heavy attack just to get rid of the light attack, which may be better overall. But this is the era of the battleship. It was carrier. Yesterday, the meta was carrier. My super heavies are getting shredded, but it looks like we're going to win. So they are acting as damage sponges. All my screens are stripped away. And we're mainly getting attacked. The screens are getting attacked by light guns and torpedoes. And we still can't win. So I think by sheer volume, the English Navy, with the amount of heavy guns that they have, just fielding the battle cruisers and the early battleships, since heavy attack was buffed so greatly, wins out easily in this case. So that was quite revealing in terms of naval meta. Battleships are back, baby. Maybe don't take them off in the beginning of the game. Finish off the battleships that you have, because now they're going to be a precious commodity. You just saw them beat super heavies with a carrier fleet, with full doctrine, with full air doctrine. So, and we should have the superior air doctrine here as well. So what we're working with is night fighting, centralized control, and we have the full strategic destruction air doctrine. And that's going to end it for this live stream. Okay, so today is November 3rd, 2022. The air has been fixed. The fighters now trade. Battleships are back. Carriers are nerfed. That's the mainstay of the updates. And HOI4 is back, baby. Let's get in there and play. Thank you guys for joining the live stream. I appreciate it. I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Check out my YouTube channels. We've got a guide channel now and a main channel, and I'm going to be putting up content there. I've also started streaming on my live stream channel, so check all that out. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good day, guys.